You know, if you thought some humbling poll numbers and raucous tea parties and election setbacks had the Obama administration cooling it on the tax and spend talk, then you really didn't hear Hillary Clinton talking last night about the rich paying their fair share in taxes and not say anything about cutting the share spending. Or economic advisor Christina Romer telling Europeans to keep spending, period. Gary B. Smith, all that weird?
It is, well, I'll tell you what, what's not weird is that I give him credit for staying on message, but, you know, I guess the overriding issue here is, first, factually, you know, Neil, that the top 25% of wage earners already pay 82% of the taxes, so I don't know where, you know, the rich aren't paying enough comes from, but to me it gets down to the, as I've said before, the ultimate hubris in that, you know, the government is going to tell you how much you can make. That's number one. And number two, then say, we can spend your money better than you can spend it because we're basically smarter than you. That's what bothers me about this whole philosophy that the administration has.
Whether you agree with what Gary said or not, there is no change in that view. In other words, not these elections, not poll numbers, nothing has changed that basic approach. What do you think of that?
I think that I would rather give a tax cut to a teacher or give a job to a teacher than give a tax cut to the president of BP. And I think it's very simple. The reason that the oil companies make as much money as they make is because they are in. It does, though, because ultimately there are things that you have to pay for, and we made a decision that it's more efficient to pay for them if we all share the burden of it. And so somehow we have to pay for that. So who's going to pay for it?
50% of Americans, close to 50, don't pay taxes.
That's actually not true. This is one of these great things that all the right wings like to put around.
They don't pay income taxes.
Okay, right. And
so you
why
said
do they
we
not
just
pay
share the
income
burden, and we
taxes?
don't.
Because they're making about 5 cents.
They're not making about 5 cents.
They're making under $20,000 a year. And so would I rather give the president...
Some of that goes up to 47,000, young lady. I'm just saying, by saying we will have to share the burden, and then you know, blithely go over the fact that we're not, is weird.
So who is not sharing the burden right now? The people who lost their jobs, the 20% of people who are not working right now who would like to work,
no,
who are not working.
No, I just told you, half the people in this country, half the people in this
$13 trillion out of the economy.
Okay.
You know, I mean, who's responsible for this? Lloyd Blankfein, the CEO of Goldman Sachs, took home...
Lloyd Blankfein, the head of BP, they are the poster child.
I say tax them.
All right, fine.
Tax them, pay for
So, Jonathan, what do you think of that?
But she's not, look, notice, Neil, she's not saying tax criminals, she's saying tax the rich.
Honey, we can tax criminals too, but if you don't think that the heads of these banks and this BP, if you don't think that there's some criminal activity in what happened in BP, you lost your mind.
You're off message.
Exactly. That's not what Secretary Clinton is saying. Secretary Clinton is saying tax the rich. They're not paying their fair share.
President Obama gave a tax cut to 95% of Americans. President Obama gave a tax cut to 95% of Americans, period.
Most of them don't pay taxes, which is a pretty good deal.
As we said before.
All right, so... Adam, are you still there? Yeah, you're the little teeny box I can barely see you. Good to see you back. Adam, what do you think of this? That at least if you're to read the political tea leaves, you might adjust a little bit. You know, you just might adjust, and they're not.
And I think that was the original question, which I think is a fine and an interesting question, Neil, as opposed to whether or not this is whether or not these people are Marxists, Gary. But here's how I see it, Neil. Here's how I see it. The people who are speaking against the administration, the Tea Party candidates, the voters in the states where there's been a big swing for them, this is not the president's base. The president was elected he got a very sizable percentage of the vote. He won handily. He had 2 houses of Congress. He had a supermajority in the Senate when he was elected.
I mean, do you go on, you know, people and politicians you admire like Bill Clinton and Erica, maybe you can just, they kind of read and modulate and moderate. Well, this guy's not.
Neil, there's going to be an election. I mean, I think
Erica,
their attitude is...
What do you think of that?
I'm so glad I'm not tedious.
You are close.
Coming close. He has not... I don't even understand what you mean by not modulated. He has given a tax cut to 95% of Americans.
No, he's not changing his tune.
He hasn't given a tax cut.
Yes, he has.
He's given a tax. No, tax cut is most people think they're marginal rates go down. He's giving money to people.
Gary B., you just think that something should be adjusted to reflect the spending angst of the public. Is that what you're saying?
Look, absolutely. Look, across the board, you've seen it in so far the elections that we've had in New Jersey, in Massachusetts. People basically at the core are saying, we don't trust the government to spend our
Anyone
money.
in
Look,
government. See
you know,
that? Anyone in government.
Okay, so let me ask
Exactly.
you,
They're
so
gonna-
would you all
and
prefer
that's
not to
actually
give a
very-
job back to the 1 out of 15 teachers
Oh, here we go.
who
You
are
just
going
go-
to
you
be
stare
laid
at us.
off?
I wish we had more time.
Why do we
But
wanna
now
keep-
everyone's tedious, and we have to start our weekend. Good night.